Hey, it's Rob Sakalas. Thank you for coming back for episode 9. This is my series for how to escape becoming average after you graduate from college. And today we're going to talk about a very important piece of technology, or type of technology, that'll help you succeed. And what I'm really talking about is something that's been around a long time. It's ink. The truth is, even the palest of ink is far better than most people's memory. In the long run, you start forgetting details, and writing it down is a crucial step to make sure that you succeed. We think better when we write things down on paper, when we plan on paper. And it applies to everything in life. Could you imagine being a coach in the NFL and not having a written game plan? Let alone winning all the season games to get to the playoffs, to get to the Super Bowl? No, the answer is absolutely not. You have to have a perfect playbook. You have to prep for each and every game. You have to make sure that everybody practices each play correctly. It's a very complex world to win the Super Bowl. And the truth is, everything in life is like this as well. You can't imagine building a nice family home without an architect. You have to make sure all the different systems in the home, whether they're electrical or plumbing, all that's got to work well together. So having it on paper, thinking it through on paper, is how you test your logic. You have to make good decisions, and when you put it down on paper, you'll see the flaws that are part of your plan. But most importantly, you can actually ask other people to look over your plans as well. Your logic will be tested, and you'll be able to make better decisions. There's been a lot of studies that show that writing it down with regular ink and paper tends to be much better than using digital technologies like your laptop, for example. There was a study by Pam Mueller from Princeton and Daniel Oppenheimer from UCLA that talked about what is more effective, students that type their notes during a lecture or students that write down their notes. And what they discovered is people that write tend to think through what's being said, while people that type are just transcribing word for word what the professor is saying, more or less, and they don't spend the time to think about it, and therefore they don't learn as well. So I think there's an important lesson here. The more that you can do with a pen and paper, the better off you generally will be, because thinking and how you make decisions is what's really important. Now, after you take those notes, you have to be able to find those notes. So if you're writing them down with pen and paper, you better have a good index system to make sure that you can find them. I've got a great example of what happens when you don't realize that you're going to forget things. I worked for a couple of years in South Carolina. And when I was there, my mind was like a steel trap. I knew all the details. I knew everybody's kids' names. I knew where everybody went to college. I knew what they wanted out of life. I then transferred out to Texas, and I was astounded that when I went back to South Carolina only 1 year later, I realized I'd forgotten 70, 80% of those little details that make all the difference between a trusted relationship and just a casual acquaintance. As we've talked about in previous episodes, having these trusted relationships where you're part of the fabric is what's really important in making sure that your network helps you succeed. And so I can't encourage you enough. Take a lot of notes. Take notes about the people. Take notes about the projects. Take notes about everything. And make sure that it's in a system where you can find it later. And so there's social networks that are out there, and don't ignore these as well. Absolutely connect to people on LinkedIn when you meet them, because every contact may wind up, yielding something great in your life in the future. Knowing somebody that quit here, then showed up there helps a lot, right? So take advantage of the social networks, but don't rely on them for everything. There's some journals I think you should consider. And when you keep these journals, I think you're going to discover you're way better off, not only in creating new ideas, but also knitting ideas together from other things that have happened in your life. So first and foremost, I think you need an idea journal where you write down all your best ideas. You may not know what you're going to do with them today, but write them down. Write everything down. And keeping a project journal whenever you're working on a larger project is a good idea. But of course, daily highlights and having kind of a chronological log of what's been happening to you is a really great thing to have. Additionally, having a journal to keep your goals, having a calendar that keeps everywhere that you've been and who you saw on any specific day, and then having those crucial notes about people, people contact notes, is also incredibly important. And lastly, I think you should also keep a self-improvement log, so that way you're conscious of when you're actually getting better and when you've kind of stalled out and aren't working on that self-improvement enough. You got to keep your eye on technology, because technology changes. What is best for keeping notes today may not be best tomorrow. I actually like creating separate email boxes where I can email a lot of these notes, because email is easy to search, number one, and it's a technology that keeps moving forward because all these new clients, all your iPhone, all this kind of stuff, keep accessing the same kind of data. So it's really a great technology to make sure that your notes are still going to be around 10 to 20 years from now. But of course, there's other journal programs as well. You just got to worry about their longevity and if you can back that data up. I'm going to give you a link that you can go to kind of read about what I think about the technology, but definitely keep your eye on it. So ultimately, keep a few journals, make sure you can search them, and think on paper. This habit will serve you well. Don't forget to subscribe below. Episode next week is coming, and I look forward to seeing you then. Thanks.